Democrats. Today is Friday, August 5th, and it's time for the Chair's Daily Life. Happy Friday. I want to take a brief little moment and do a special shout out to two people that I met as I became involved in the Oklahoma Democratic Party, and I think they deserve a shout out. First, I want to shout out the Oklahoma Democratic Party Vice Chair, Eric Proctor. Happy birthday, Eric. And if you know him, send him a text. He's celebrating his birthday with his family. And then the second is Kimberly Fobbs, my ride or die, who I served in Tulsa County with. Today is her birthday. You know, Kimberly, send her a text, send her a Facebook message, congratulate her on her birthday and living her best life. All righty, so that's today, August 5th. So I want to apologize to you guys. Yesterday, Brittany Griner was sentenced to 9 years in a Russian prison for possession of personal use cannabis in a vape. No one believes that is the appropriate charge for that crime. I do not condone breaking the law. However, I feel like this is more about politics than the actual crime, because that's all I want to say. And so I hope that our State Department continues to work to get all of America's political prisoners released, not just Ms. Griner, but also Mr. Paul Whelan and whoever else they're holding to use as political chips. And the reason I mention it, the reason why I feel the need to mention it, because it has nothing to do with Democratic politics, is because it has everything to do with democracy. And that's why I do what I do. I believe in our democracy, and I believe that we have to do everything that's in our power. We don't have any power in that, but we have to do everything that is in our power. And this just reminds me of, we have a beautiful democracy, and I just want folks to be more involved. So I just wanted to talk about that before I moved into the topic of the day. And we kind of we promoted it, and I'm super excited. And you guys know I like to bring subject matter experts on when we talk about deep stuff, so I don't say the wrong thing. And I want to talk about education today. And again, not making it about the ballot, except everything I do is about the ballot. So you know it's going to come back to me begging you to vote, because everything I do is about the ballot. But I particularly sought out someone who's not going to be on your ballot in November, because I wanted to talk about it in a way that doesn't sound like somebody who's trying to get votes, but is more about factual. And so to that end, I invited the president of the Tulsa Classroom Teachers Association to join me. So please help me welcome Shawna Mott-Wright. Hi, Shawna.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you so very much for joining me, because I want to give this topic the respect that it deserves. And I don't have a kid in the classroom. I've never been in the classroom, but I feel like education in Oklahoma is arguably one of the most important things that we need to be talking about right now.
Absolutely, I agree 1,000,000% as a mom and a teacher.
Absolutely. So when I called you earlier this week and asked you if you would join me, you didn't call me back at first, because you were in the middle of some teacher events. You want to talk to me a little bit about that?
Yes, ma'am. We being Tulsa Public Schools, has hosted so many different teacher events, professional learning, professional development, and then new teachers are in those, as well as veteran teachers, because of the new things we have to learn, with new state laws come new mandates, and we have to jump through all those hoops because we're public schools receiving public money. And then also coming up, we have more new teacher events, some that are exclusively new teachers and some that are a mix again of new and veteran teachers. And we will have done, when it's all said and done, I think we will have had 13 different events that TCTA has fed the teachers, trying to just tell them, hey, we're here to serve you. We are you, because I am a TPS teacher elected by TPS teachers to serve TPS teachers, and just do that.
So you were talking to teachers, so veterans and brand new teachers. You were talking to teachers this week. What are some of the concerns that teachers are sharing with you?
Class sizes, for one, and that's a huge concern because we do not have the number of educators that we need to educate the kids in the manner that they deserve. So class sizes are huge. We don't have enough teachers.
Okay. And I did an interview earlier this week with the press when they asked me, because the governor is bragging about the surplus money that we have. And I said, and they asked me, what do you think that he could be spending that money on? I said, oh, I don't know, paying teachers, trying to keep teachers in the classroom. And there are a whole bunch of other things going on in Oklahoma, but right now my mind is focused on education. But am I wrong?
Oh no, you are very correct. Angry is possibly the understatement of the millennia. We are very angry at all of this carryover, while we have a governor who claims to be so pro-life. No, dude, you're pro-birth. There's a difference. And our children are should be our most precious resource and are our most vulnerable population, and they need our help. And we have the means to help them in that carryover funding. Why don't you carry it on over to education? And Mr. Businessman, you need an educated workforce that begins with the children. I mean, it all goes together. You cannot have a good economy without good education. And in public education, over 90% of American children attend public schools. Over 95% of Oklahoma children attend public schools, real public schools. And that takes funding. We need it desperately.
So I've heard a lot of talk about teacher flight. You talked a little bit about what you were talking about, but in my mind, I think they're directly related. And it's not a teacher shortage. It's teachers are deciding not to go back to the classroom. Is that right?
Correct.
And some of the reasons they're citing are, I'm asking.
Money plays a big part in it. The number one thing would be respect, but respect is not during Teacher Appreciation Week putting a 3x5 card in my mailbox that says, I appreciate you. By the way, I just increased your caseload by 40 and there's no more money. That's not respect. That's a slap in the face. Teachers have a skill set, and you can ask anybody in the corporate world, and they say all the time, oh yeah, I found me a teacher, because teachers can do it all, because we have to do it all every day, because our kids are all over the map in terms of what they need, know, don't know, and we're there to meet their needs. So teachers can do it all. So we're easy to hire in almost anything. Project managers, you got it. Run a nonprofit, you got it. Contracts, got it. Check, check, check. We can do it all. So we're easily hireable. The pool used to be like huge, and now it's like tiny, because it's like people are saying it's not worth this. It's not worth me having a third stroke. My family told me I have to quit because otherwise I'm going to die. That's a legitimate example. And so when people make light of things, I'm like, I know these people by name. These are my people. You don't understand. Those are families in our communities, because most of your teachers are also parents. And we have people ask a doctor, and we've done some data polling on that. Most of the patients on depression and anxiety and high blood pressure medicine, most of them teachers. Like, it's just, you have to make it an attractive profession. And you can't talk out of this side of your mouth saying you care about kids while you continue to talk about stupid vouchers that help like this many kids, and defunding, not just not funding, but defunding public education. And don't you dare talk to me about pro-life, because you want me to give birth, but then you don't want to help me feed the child, educate the child, clothe the child, and then tell me you're a Christian? Psh, get out of here with that.
Okay. What about, because I wrote some notes, because I'm thinking if I were a teacher, the things that would make me mad in Oklahoma, I feel like teachers are being micromanaged.
Oh, yeah. Yes. One of the other big things that teachers want is time. So when our planning time has been usurped for this, that, and the other things, remember, we're already having more unfunded mandates, less funding, more children, and our children are coming to us with more trauma than ever before. And that statement was true before COVID-19 existed. That statement was true before the pandemic. Like this teacher shortage, I will use that term because that's the term everyone knows, but make no mistake, it was well manufactured and well funded on the other side. And when I get things for candidates and it says funded by certain groups that I can link right there with Betsy DeVos, I'm not voting for you. I'm going to vote for kids. And I don't care if you're pea green and purple spotted. If you're for kids, I'm for you. And if you're not, and actions speak louder than words. So yeah, we need time. We need to not be, we've been so deprofessionalized. It's unreal. I am not a child. I am a professional with a degree and with years of training, constant training and experience. And I have had someone, this is years ago, he's no longer with the district, thank you, Jesus, come into my room and start to talk to me about certain kids. And I'm like, yes, but they're twins. And I have one first hour, one second hour. And if I approach this in this way, and if I approach this way, because those are called relationships, because I know my children. So don't come into my room. And when I say me, I'm not talking about Shawna, any teacher, and just start telling us what we know our children and we know how they are in the classroom. They may be one way at home. I have two in high school right now. But I mean, that's how they are in the classroom. Get real.
So here's the thing. I like to talk about voting. I like to talk about how nothing happens that doesn't come through the ballot box.
Correct.
And if it does, it's because you skipped the ballot box. So when I talk to folks, how can I talk to folks about their input? How can they help? How can regular everyday voters help improve what's happening in schools in Oklahoma right now?
I'm just going to tell you straight up personally, and I hope that it resonates because all I know is my story. I am an Assembly of God Christian and my daddy's a veteran and was a sheet metal worker. And my mom was a teacher. She just retired after 43 years. And I'm a teacher and I'm a mother. And I vote for my classroom. And if you don't have a classroom, vote for your child, your grandchild, your neighbor's kid. If you don't care about that, vote for the economy, which means voting for public education, because that over 95% of Oklahoma children, they're going to grow up. They are going to be the workforce. Do you want them to be educated? Do you want us to have better property values and ad valorem and all the things we need to function, better health care, better correctional system? Like, you need to vote that way and not by party. Because again, I don't care if you're pea green and purple spotted. I care about you as a person. Are you there because you want a title, or are you there to serve people? And I know you didn't ask me this, but I'm going to tell you straight up. Jesus, the Son of God, washed the feet of the disciples. And the disciples, they were the riffraff of the day. So like, we are here to serve, not rule. Who are you going to vote for? Somebody who wants to rule you and get all the powers drawn to him? Mm-hmm. Or somebody who's going to serve you? Because that's what they're supposed to be doing. They're meant to serve.
Okay. Well, I got the undercurrent there. Excuse me.
I'm not hiding it.
So what do you say? I'm going to ask, this is a touchy one. In 2018, I was incensed, I tell you, during the teacher walkout, when I'm putting together numbers and I'm trying to figure out how do we reach teachers and how do we communicate with teachers and blah, blah, blah. And I found out that only about 1 in 6 teachers were registered to vote.
Yeah, it's beyond problematic. It's heartbreaking. It's infuriating. I don't understand it. I know the heart of teachers. And so I know in teachers' minds, it's like, well, I became a teacher for children. I mean, that's why you become a teacher. It's not for like the fame and the glory and the money, right?
No.
But the thing is, everything that happens in a public school is somehow connected to an elected official. It's not that we want as teachers to be political. It's that we're forced to be. You better be, because this game is being played whether you enter it or not. This race is being run whether you run it or not. So you have to think about the children, and like, that's happening. The governor, he's elected. The state school board is appointed by the governor, who is elected. Like everything, your district school board, everything comes down to an elected official. And politics are in everything: the curriculum we teach, what we teach, when we teach it. There's pacing guides, how we teach it. I mean, you've got to do your civic duty and be the example that you are in the classroom, outside of the classroom with that. And if we don't, as a profession, if we don't, well, we see how that's going. We have got to do better at voting, and voting for the person that is going to best serve the children of Oklahoma. I don't care what package they come in. Actions speak louder than words. Who is going to best serve the children of Oklahoma?
Awesome. I thank you for saying that. I like to say that even when you say you don't do politics, politics is doing you.
Exactly.
It is you're letting other people make the decisions. And we saw 10 years of no funding, before the walkout. We can't afford another walkout.
Right. And we didn't want to walk out. And I'm glad you brought that up. We got a raise. The teachers got a raise before the walkout. Yeah, it brought us up even to inflation. And that's a whole other thing, because not anymore. But why did we walk out then? For funding for our kids. I had shirts made for my children that said, "Where's my rights?" Because when a girl showed up at the walkout and it said Bush was president, and I don't mean G-Dub, but Daddy, we got problems. Yeah, it was bad. And when a homeschool mom showed up with a stroller and like 6 kids and had a poster and said, "I choose to homeschool all of my children, but I support public educators," thank you. That's the thing. We need to talk about what unites us more than divides us. These people are trying to divide. And I think the public doesn't realize they're doing that so they can make money off of you. They're lying to you. Do your homework.
Yeah. So education has been weighing on my mind. And you and I live in Tulsa. Mm-hmm. And so, our school board has been chatter for the last month and a half of just drama here, this, that, the other. And so it's been on my mind. I wanted to have on a subject matter expert that wasn't on the ballot, so that we could talk about it in a way that didn't seem like it was trying to make people vote in a certain way. Do you feel comfortable if I ask you a question about the investigation into Tulsa and the House Bill 1775?
Yes, I do. Go ahead. Thank you for asking.
Okay. So a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, Representative Goodwin did a press conference where she was saying, "Hey, we need to ask more questions, blah, blah, blah." And then they had the meeting. And as you said, the school board is appointed by the governor. And so they voted to downgrade the second largest school district in the state. Now we find out that perhaps it wasn't violated?
Correct. So the only reason I wasn't at her press conference is I was at a teacher event that we just talked about. So the complaint was made in August of 2021, and the passage of the emergency rules went into place in September of 2021. So let me just put that in classroom terms. On Monday, I tell my class, this is due on Friday. You have all week. I will monitor you. I will be here for questions. You have all week to work together as a group. It's worth 10% of your grade. And then Tuesday, I wake up and I changed my mind. So I go into my classroom and I say, "Oh, it's due today. And it's still 10% of your grade." You know what? It's 15% of your grade. First of all, I should be in a lot of trouble. And secondly, if that happened with a teacher, me as a parent, I'm going to make a phone call. That's not okay. And what am I wanting? So how is someone punished for something that allegedly, if it did happen in August of 2021, when the rule didn't exist until September of 2021? That's problematic. Secondly, what was talked about is implicit bias, which has nothing to do with House Bill 1775. That's not the way the law is written at all. So doesn't even hold water there. And third, there was no evidence and no proof. Oh, and fourth, several teachers, I did not call them, They called me, said, I went to that training. That didn't happen. I never heard that. I've never seen this.
See,
So
for
all
me,
evidence,
how is it that one teacher can uproot a whole
right? When
district?
all evidence points to the contrary. Not no evidence at all, but any and all evidence points to the contrary. Yeah, it's kind of amazing to me how that can be done. I understand the real reason behind why this law was written, right? And that's why to target, and then poor Mustang got thrown in there with us, because Governor Stitt has not been shy about, we'll look at the different heads of agencies. You disagree with him, you're out. Doesn't matter, man, woman, race, doesn't matter. You disagree with me as Governor Stitt, you're out. Okay. But then Dr. Gist, on top of that, how dare she be a woman who disagrees with him publicly? I'm another one. The targeting has been real. I refuse to be bullied. I also have to answer to Jesus someday, not Kevin Stitt. So I'm going to keep doing what's best for kids. That's just how it is.
So we've talked about House Bill 1775, class sizes, teacher pay, micromanaging of teachers, teacher flight. Let's bring it all back in. And for me, I'm all about telling people to vote. I'm all about giving people a reason to show up at the ballot box. We have an election in 18 days. We have an election. It's a runoff, but it is an election. And I believe that you show up every time there's a ballot with your name on it, every single time. How can voters who are watching this and who will be watching this, how can they make a difference in teachers' lives come November 8th?
Come November or come August 23rd?
Either one.
Come August 23rd, they can vote for Dr. April Grace, because if the other dude wins, public education in Oklahoma will cease to exist. Period. End of story.
Okay, so we don't endorse Republicans on my life.
I know, sorry, but that's the runoff. And then Gina Nelson is also running as a Democrat, but that's not till November. But I'm just saying, we cannot watch the death of public education. And if certain people proceed to November, and then in November, they need to vote for pro-public education candidates. So,
okay, nice.
Gina Nelson.
This is a Democrat live. This is a Democrat live. So Gina Nelson is our candidate of choice. Yes. I don't really care what happens over there. I don't care what happens over there. But what people need to do, what I do care is that everybody shows up, whether they vote for who I want them to vote for or not. So that is true. I need everybody to show up and vote and understand that education, defunding education, limiting who can get an education is on the ballot this year.
Right.
Because if we get vouchers, there will be people in rural Oklahoma who will be relegated to substandard because their schools will not have enough money to do what they need to do.
Right. And that's the thing. Rural Oklahomans, voucher to where? You're basically going to kill the entire community. So do we care about our neighbors in the rural areas or not? I mean, and Gina Nelson is who I have been going for state superintendent from the beginning. I will say that.
Thank you.
If you didn't know that. Well, I have been. She's currently in the classroom. So she's currently living the life of a teacher and has been forever. And I've watched her over the years, not just as 2020 Oklahoma Teacher of the Year, but over the years, what she's done with her students. And I know one of her mentor teachers who was her teacher, who's a good friend and colleague. So she's just incredible and she gets it on every level. And I will say to that end, it would be really nice to have someone in that position that has lived it as a teacher very recently, because the longer you're away, the more you tend to forget, or yes, you can see it through a different lens. That's not always good, because who's closest to the kids? The teacher. So
and not just because she has a D in front of her name. I've spent a lot of time with Gina. I feel like she gets it, and
She
that
does
she
get
has
it.
a heart for her colleagues that she's in the classroom with. And I think that we could benefit from someone who has that in mind and more interested in helping kids than making a name for themselves.
Right, right. And I've seen her in the classroom and I've seen her with her kids for years. So I know she gets it on that. But even if you haven't had that opportunity, if you hear her speak for like 30 seconds, she gets it. And she's what we need to like turn this over and turn this around. Because I tell you what, if we keep going this way, will the last teacher please turn off the lights? And what does that do to our children? What does that do to our communities, to our economy, to our healthcare, to our state? We're done.
Yeah. Well, Shawna, you've been incredibly informative. I appreciate you joining me, taking time, and I know because you've had a really long week, so taking time to spend some time with me, and educating the folks who are gracious enough to click on my lives every once in a while. So you heard it, guys. You got to vote. We have got to exercise our democracy and take care of the things that matter, because the defunding of education happens at the ballot box.
Mhm.
The running teachers out
Mhm.
happens at the ballot box. The trying to privatize all of education happens at the ballot box.
Yeah.
We've got to show up and vote, and that will affect all of those things.
Amen.
All righty. You guys have a great weekend. I'll be back here Monday at 4:15. And Monday is the last day to request your absentee ballot. So if you're thinking about it this weekend, go ahead and knock that out and request your absentee ballot for the election that's coming up on August 23rd. We are 95 days away from November 8th. Get out there this weekend, even if it's phone banking. Help a candidate.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.